Hello, vermin, and welcome to the sewer system. I'm Rio Rat, as always, from thebasementonahill.com. Today we're going to talk about Arrow Video's releases of The Addiction and Doom.Asylum, as well as Wild Eye Releasing's Swamphead. So, that'll be fun. Please, if you like what you see, share it around. Do that whole fun thing. Like, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. ad nauseum. Okay, so, let's get to business. Alright, so, The Addiction. The Addiction is a 1995 film by Abel Ferrara, black and white, because, in fact, in the special feature, the interview with Abel Ferrara, he says all the great films are in black and white, so I figured I'd do one in black and white, and then it would be great. Basically, is what he says. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but it's got interesting. He's got some interesting ideas. The Addiction is his idea of a vampire film. You know, people get all up in arms about when zombies run, because zombies don't run. Well, vampires don't not have fangs, but in The Addiction, apparently fangs aren't all that important. And yes, it is less about vampirism. Vampirism is more of just a metaphor, extended metaphor, for addiction and all sorts of other things. This thing is packed with philosophical jargon. It's like a poetry slam put to film, basically. You get a lot of talk about different philosophers, quotes from philosophers, and as well as authors like Burroughs and Dante and things like that. So if you're really into that sort of thing, you know, staying up late your freshman year of college talking about, you know, what is the self and the meaning of life and all of that sort of stuff, The Addiction is for you. Tonally, it starts out very, very good, and it ends very, very good. But the middle, I feel like, is just kind of, I don't know, a movie. It's okay. The beginning and end, though, tonally a little, not claustrophobic. The score's a bit claustrophobic in the beginning. Just feels really cool. Feels really good. Christopher Walken has an insane performance in this. He's all over in it, and it's a joy to watch. And then Lily Taylor, I now know where Tommy Wiseau got his look, and it's from Lily Taylor in The Addiction. She's got the long black hair, sunglasses, pale complexion, baggy dress shirt. Yeah, it's Tommy Wiseau through and through. So, and it really does feel like he wrote this in college and kind of sat on it until he wanted to make another movie when it got to 1995. I much prefer his other works. This is vastly different for him, but not a bad watch. Happy to have it in my collection. And there's also a moment that I cringed so much, and Lily Taylor's character, Kathy, actually takes blood out of a homeless man and then later injects herself with it, and it's just, I just couldn't, like, the older I get, the more blood bothers me. I don't know what the deal there is. But anyway, that's The Addiction. Now, moving on to, do I have it handy? I do. Doom.Asylum. This film is also black and white at points, although those aren't scenes from this film so much as scenes from other films inserted to basically pad it because there wasn't enough script, not enough to shoot to make it hit about 80 minutes. Those I could take or leave. They kind of almost add a layer of depth to it, but not quite. Anyway, so Doom.Asylum, that's fantastic artwork. Look at that. Arrow's always bringing that artwork. Love it. This is probably my favorite death in the movie, too. That's probably why they decided to include it. Fans as well, I take it. So, where do I start with this thing? It's not really about anything. So, an alimony attorney and the woman he just got a settlement for of like millions are on a joyride celebrating their victory. She's pouring champagne in his lap and like they're not paying attention to the road at all, drinking and driving, and they crash and she dies. He ends up on a surgeon's table. They think he's dead. He's not dead yet. They start cutting him up. You know, now he needs to go on revenge, of course. Skip ahead 10 years, they're playing the same cover of the House of the Rising Sun, which happens to be one of my favorite songs of all time. This cover, not so much. But it's funny because his car is driving in the same exact spot, and they're listening to the same exact weird, crappy version of the House of the Rising Sun that I've never even heard on the radio. And this car is full of goobers. So it's got the lady from the beginning, her daughter, played by the same Patty Mullen, who was fantastic, known from Frankenhooker and this, and that's about it. And then it's also got this other cast of characters that are basically cartoons come to life. There is a token black guy named Darnell with a gold necklace on that says his name, Darnell. There is Kristen Davis from Sex and the City. She plays like a philosophy psychoanalyst, child of two psychiatrists, psychologists, something like that. And so she's always analyzing everything. And then there's like the kind of the big jockey guy, and he can't make up his mind about anything. He's very indecisive. And they all end up calling him Mom throughout the movie. This is much more of a comedy than a horror. It's a comedy with gore. It's a gore comedy. Let's call it that. And then there's this guy who's riding with them who is obsessed with baseball cards, and he's kind of like a real goob. These people should not be hanging out together. They wouldn't, and you don't really see why any of them are friends at all. And I don't know why they go to this asylum. They go to this abandoned asylum, and just to have a picnic out in the yard. Because it's technically trespassing, I think. I don't know. There's just band playing a gig there, Tina and the Tots. And I say a gig, it's a gig loosely. They're playing to nobody. They're playing for fun. And Tina is played by Ruth Collins, I think her name is. She was a Playboy playmate. Patty Mullen, former Penthouse pet. That's kind of how they sold this thing, was that, oh, we've got, you know, we're going to put this on HBO, Skinamax sort of thing. And Tina and the Tots are this wild noise rock girl band, and it basically becomes them kind of just being angry at each other. There's Tina and the Tots in the asylum yelling at the people down here, and every now and then the characters, you know, change where they're standing, and that's basically when they end up getting killed by the alimony attorney, who's still just hanging out, disfigured. I don't know if he's supposed to be dead or what. I'm like, why are these people here in bikinis with no pool around, just laying on blankets? Like, that's the fun they wanted to have? But Ruth Collins shows her boobs, and that was like a big moment for her. Sorry, my cat is being a cat. Get out of here. There's some really cool effects. And then there's this one scene that gets me a bit. It's the toe cutting scene. They cut off all his toes! So that's kind of, rough. This thing is full of intentional camp. It's very campy, very much on purpose, and then sometimes not so much on purpose, and that's okay too. So it's a fun watch. It's kind of fun to stop, to pause it, and look at all the graffiti all over this real abandoned asylum that they shot in. Also notable that it was all filmed during the day. It's very bright. And the shots look really nice. Like, the DP, Larry Ravine, actually did an amazing job. Everything looks real good. So, yeah, I'm probably going to do a more in-depth written review for my Schlock and Gore column. You can check that out at thebasementonahill.com. So now let's change gears from Arrow over to Wild Eye Releasing. Swamphead is a lot of fun. Oh, Mr. Parka. Well, Dave Parka has a little blurb on the back here. I'm jealous. This is the type of thing I would definitely love to have been a part of. It is a goofy sort of film. I mean, Doom.Asylum was goofy, but this kind of a different level. It's got guys intentionally being jerks to women that they would normally want to be nice to in order to get in their pants. It's almost like they don't really even care about that. They're just being assholes. It's got the head. It's it's just this floating head that came out of a swamp and goes to attack anybody who stole his dagger, his old dagger. It doesn't talk or anything like that. It just latches on and eats people, and it's a lot of fun. The humor is very stupid, and that's okay. Like, trauma-ish in a way, but trauma-esque. It kind of reminds me of The Taint a bit at times, if you're familiar with the humor of The Taint. Drew Bullock's film with all the exploding dicks. It's got like some really old actors playing, well, not really old, but much older actors playing high school kids, and it's very obvious. I think they're supposed to be like freshmen in high school, and they're definitely in their 20s, and fully in on the joke. Lots of humor just to get through it. And this thing, it could have been played seriously as just a, as just an homage to 80s, early 90s, like direct-to-video stuff. But real fun. I suggest you give it a watch. It's got, especially if you're into schlock. I mean, if you're watching this, you probably are. Who knows? But I love schlock. It's my favorite thing. So Swamphead was a lot of fun. It is probably what you expect. A lot like Pieces. It's pretty much exactly what you expect. Let me know what you would like me to review. I get in movies that I like to review, and then I'm also willing to review any suggestions by any of you. Please, if you follow me on Instagram at reel, REEL_rat, you can talk to me about horror movies there. I'll talk horror movies with anybody almost any time of day or night. Meeting friends in this way is something I do want to do. There aren't a lot of people in my neck of the woods into this sort of stuff. It's kind of just me, is how it feels anyway. So, yeah, always willing to chat. And if you have any big ideas, I'm more than willing to hear them. Yeah, and, I'm always up for trades. If you want to send me movies, I mean, by all means do. I'll check them out. And yeah, so that's it for this episode of The Sewer System. Thank you so much for going along for the ride, and I will talk to you guys next time.